If you want to have a fun and exciting universe mode in WWE 2K26, then check out these 5 great storylines to instantly plug and play within your universe mode right now. The first storyline takes place for your world champion and his or her potential challengers. In the first week after successfully defending their world title at the last PLE, your face world champion comes out for a promo to discuss what's next. Soon after, a potential face contender would then come out to confront them as they are looking for a title opportunity. The face champion says that they respect him or her and that next week they can have a shot for their title. Right after that promo though, a heel contender would attack the face contender backstage, clearly upset about being passed over for a chance at the world title. The following week, your world champion will then take on that face contender, but during the match, the heel contender would distract the face contender and the face champ would end up getting the win to retain their world title. The next week, the face contender would then come out for a promo, clearly hot, calling out the heel contender for their attack and distraction over the past couple of weeks. The heel contender would then come out to respond, saying that they didn't deserve an opportunity before them, especially since the face hasn't been able to beat them in recent memory. The face responds by challenging him or her to a number one contenders match, and the heel accepts. So in the following week at the Go Home show before the PLE, the face and heel contenders would face off in a number one contenders match to decide who would face the world champ at the upcoming PLE. Our second storyline is a main event veteran taking on a new challenge. In the first week, a veteran from the men's or women's main event division comes out for a promo, sharing how it's been so long since he or she has been a world champion. While they feel they can still get back to that level, they need a new change to really restart their drive of getting back to the top of the mountain, so he or she will now chase the Midcard title to get back their spark. The following week, the heel Midcard champ would come out for a promo of their own and laugh at the veteran for thinking he or she would not just automatically get a shot at their title, but to assume they would just come in and take it to start their own new spark story. The veteran would then come out to interrupt, but wouldn't get in really much room to talk or speak because they were quickly attacked by the heel Midcard champ. Later that night, the heel Midcard champ would be placed in a singles match with an ally of the veteran superstar as punishment for their attack earlier that night. Quickly after the match gets going, the veteran runs into the ring and attacks the heel Midcard champ to get in some revenge. The next week, a number one contenders match is set up for the veteran to earn their opportunity at the Midcard title. The veteran would end up getting the win, but immediately after, they would end up being attacked by the heel Midcard champ once again. The following week at the Go Home show before the PLE, the veteran and their ally would then take on the heel Midcard champ and one of their own allies in a tag match where the winning side would have all the momentum heading into their Midcard championship match at the upcoming PLE. Our next storyline is a Legend's final run. On the Raw after WrestleMania, a shocking return of a Legend would occur as he or she would come out for a promo saying they are back for one final run, with the plan to be able to go out on top. Quickly, a heel comes out to laugh in their face and say that the WWE has passed them by. The Legend doesn't take too kindly to that and drops the heel to send a message. The following week, the Legend comes out for a match against a young up-and-comer, where he or she ends up getting the win, but after the match, the Legend and his or her opponent are attacked by the heel. And the next week, the heel would take on that young and up-and-comer in a singles match. They would get a quick, cheap, sneaky win, but after the match, he or she would then demand an interview where he or she would then go on to call out the Legend for a match the following week. So at the Go Home show before the PLE in the main event, the Legend would come out for their singles match, but they would also have the young up-and-comer in their corner to make sure the heel could not try any of those tricks that he or she did last week. The Legend would end up getting the win and could potentially set up either a partnership or mentorship with the young up-and-comer for a new storyline, but that's up for you guys to decide. Our third storyline involves an NXT Call Up. In the first week, a heel contender for a mid-card title would come out for a promo, stating it's been a long time and honestly long enough since they've had a chance to win some gold and they want the mid-card champion tonight, so he or she can take away their title. But out would come the GM though, saying that the heel is definitely someone who should have an opportunity at the title, but there still are other options, so next week, the heel contender will take on a surprise opponent to become the new mid-card number one contender. The following week, the heel mid-card contender would come out for their match and will be met by a surprise opponent who ends up being a hyped-up NXT talent that is making a huge main roster debut with a potential mid-card title push. the now former NXT talent would end up getting the huge win over the heel mid-card contender to become the new #1 contender. Then the next week, the heel contender would come out and attack the mid-card #1 contender backstage, as they clearly couldn't handle being passed up by a new NXT talent. The following week at the go-home show before the PLE, the heel contender would come out for a promo and state that some new hotshot wasn't going to take their place, and last week was only the start of their plans to stop the former NXT talent from winning the mid-card title. The former NXT talent and now new mid-card #1 contender would come out to respond by challenging the heel to a rematch, but with a stipulation. If the heel wins, they would replace them as the new #1 contender for the mid-card title at the PLE. But if the heel loses the rematch, then they are barred from ringside of the PLE, stopping any interference. The heel was bothered by being given this stipulation, but they would agree to the rematch for that night to decide the #1 contender for the mid-card title at the upcoming PLE. Our fourth storyline will involve a world title heel turn. At the first week at your recent PLE, your face world champion was able to retain their title, and they would come out the following week for a promo where they seemed to maybe getting a little bit too cocky. Out would come a face contender / challenger who's a little bit of an underdog, but they're looking to finally get an opportunity at the world title. Your cocky face champion tries to be nice, but says that if he or she wants a shot at their world title, then they would have to earn it. So the following week, your underdog face challenger would take on a heel contender in a #1 contenders match, where the face underdog would end up getting the win to get a title shot. Then at next week's show, the face underdog contender would come out for a promo, thanking the crowd for getting behind them and helping them will their way to the title shot for the world title. The little bit of a cocky face champion would come out to respond, and even though once again he or she was trying to be nice to their new #1 contender, they would tell that contender that the fans won't have his or her back in the match, but instead they will be with their world champion. This leads to mixed reactions from the crowd, as that you can really sense they have a growing arrogance behind the world champion. Then the following week at the go-home show before your PLE, both superstars would come out for a contract signing, where once again it felt like the face world champion was a little condescending to their challenger, but what felt like for the first time in forever, this contract signing didn't end in a brawl. Then at your PLE, the face world champion would take on their face challenger, and in surprising fashion, the face challenger would get the upset win to become the new world champion. The following week though, after the PLE, in surprising fashion, the show opens with the former face champion attacking the new face champion backstage, as their recent character change seems to have turned into a full heel turn. Then the following week, your former world champion calls out the new champion, saying he or she isn't worthy of the title, they got lucky, and will get stomped out if they have a rematch. The new world champion then would come out saying, after the attack last week, why would he or she give out a rematch? Instead, the new champion dishes it right back and says that just like him or her said before, the former world champion would have to earn a shot at the title. The former champion grew mad at this response, which is hypocritical considering how their feud started, but he or she doesn't care and would attack the new champion once again. The next week, the former world champion would take on another world title contender to become the new #1 contender, and the former world champion would end up getting the win to set up a rematch at the upcoming PLE. Following we get the go-home show before the PLE, another contract signing was set up between the two superstars, but this time it would end in chaos as the former world champion would take the first swing at the new world champion, but this time your face new world champion was able to fight back as they would both brawl, heading into their world title rematch at the upcoming PLE. Our third storyline has some chaos for a mid-card title for the men or the women. Your face mid-card champion was able to successfully defend their title at the recent PLE, but has now been called out at the start of the night for a match against a new challenger. After coming out to the ring for the match, the mid-card champion wasn't met with their new challenger though, with their previous heel challenger, who had taken the new challenger out and was now heading for the ring to go at your face mid-card champion, as the original match gets called off by the referee during all of the chaos. The following week, the former heel challenger comes out for a promo saying the face mid-card champion got lucky at the PLE, and they are disgusted that a new challenger thinks he or she can just toss them to the side and immediately swoop in to go after the title as if they're better than him or her. The face mid-card champion comes out and interrupts their former challenger, saying they had their opportunity and don't deserve another one, so they had no business getting involved. The former heel contender is angered by this and attacks the mid-card champion. The next week, the new potential mid-card title challenger comes out for a promo and calls out the former heel challenger, saying he or she doesn't deserve a shot at the title, but they will challenge them in a number one contenders match if it means they can get their revenge on the former heel challenger. The heel comes out and accepts the offer, setting up a match for next week. In a go-home show before the PLE, the heel and the potential new challenger will face off in a number one contenders match to take on the mid-card champion at the upcoming PLE for the mid-card title.